You're driving home after a long day. The roads are quiet. Your phone is charging. The radio hums softly in the background. Nothing feels unusual. Then, red and blue lights suddenly appear in your rearview mirror. Your stomach drops. You pull over. You switch off the engine. Your hands grip the steering wheel a little tighter. The officer approaches your window. You hand over your license and registration. The conversation begins normally. Then the officer shines a flashlight across the inside of your car. His eyes stop on something. He reaches toward the passenger seat. He picks it up, looks at it, then asks one simple question. Can you tell me what this is? In that moment, your brain starts racing. Your heart beats faster. You feel pressure to answer immediately. And that's exactly when many people make a mistake that can completely change the conversation. They start guessing. They start explaining. They start talking, far more than necessary. If police find something inside your car, there is one sentence you should never say. I guess it's mine. It sounds harmless. It sounds cooperative. But those 4 words can carry far more weight than people realize. You may not even know exactly what the officer is referring to. You may not have looked closely. You may simply be trying to end an awkward moment. Yet by saying it belongs to you, you've connected yourself to something before understanding the situation. Stress causes people to fill silence. Most people hate uncomfortable pauses, so they speak, not because they know the answer, because they feel like they have to. Imagine the officer holds up a small container found under the passenger seat. You haven't seen it before. A friend borrowed your car yesterday. Your brother drove it last week. A coworker rode with you this morning. Several people have been inside your vehicle recently. But before thinking, you say, yeah, it's probably mine. Now you've made an assumption that may not even be true. That's why experienced attorneys often remind people never to guess during a police encounter. Guessing is not the same as knowing. Another sentence people often regret saying is, I forgot that was in there. Forgot what? You haven't even confirmed what the officer found. People think admitting they forgot something sounds innocent. Instead, it may sound like they're acknowledging prior knowledge of the item. A single sentence spoken in panic can completely change how the conversation unfolds. Another common mistake is trying to explain everything all at once. No. Listen. My cousin borrowed my car on Friday. Then my neighbor needed it Saturday. And yesterday I picked up some boxes for work. The explanation keeps getting longer. You jump from one detail to another. The officer asks one question. You answer 5 different questions that were never asked. Stress affects memory. People accidentally skip details. Then they remember something later. Now their explanation changes. Those differences can create unnecessary confusion. Sometimes the shortest truthful answer is far better than a rushed story. Another dangerous phrase is, I didn't mean anything by it. By what? Again, you've responded before understanding the situation. People often assume the officer already believes they've done something wrong. So they begin defending themselves against accusations that haven't even been made. That usually doesn't help. Then comes another sentence. You can trust me. Trust isn't built by saying the word. It's built by remaining calm, respectful, and consistent. Trying to convince someone emotionally often has the opposite effect. Instead of sounding confident, it may sound like you're panicking. Another surprisingly common reaction is nervous laughter. Some people laugh whenever they're uncomfortable. Others smile without realizing it. The officer asks a serious question. The driver chuckles. Maybe they even joke. I swear this only happens to me. You may be trying to ease the tension, but not everyone interprets nervous laughter the same way. The safest approach is to stay calm and focused. Another sentence to avoid is, search whatever you want. Many people believe agreeing immediately makes them appear innocent. But whether you consent to a search can have legal consequences, depending on the laws where you are and the specific circumstances of the stop. If an officer already has legal authority to search, your consent may not change anything. If they don't, voluntarily giving consent could affect your legal rights. That's why people should understand the difference before making quick decisions. Another mistake is arguing about facts you haven't confirmed. That wasn't there. Someone planted it. That's impossible. At that point, you may not know exactly where the item was located. You may not know when it got there. Making absolute statements without knowing the facts can create unnecessary complications. Listen first. Think second. Answer carefully. Many people also try to predict what the officer already knows. I was only holding it for somebody. My friend asked me to carry it. I was going to throw it away later. Notice something? The officer never asked those questions. The driver volunteered the information. People often create problems by answering questions that were never asked. Another phrase to avoid is, "I'll tell you everything." Fear makes people believe that talking non-stop will solve the situation. In reality, excessive talking often creates more opportunities for misunderstandings. The more you speak under pressure, the greater the chance you'll accidentally say something inaccurate. Silence isn't the same as guilt. Choosing your words carefully isn't being disrespectful. Remaining calm isn't refusing to cooperate. They're completely different things. Here's another situation. Imagine you're helping a friend move apartments. Your trunk is full of random bags and boxes. Weeks later, you're stopped during a routine traffic stop. An unfamiliar item is found among those belongings. Without thinking, you immediately claim responsibility. But what if that item wasn't even yours? That's why assumptions are risky. Facts matter more than guesses. Another mistake is letting emotions take control. People become frustrated. They raise their voices. This is ridiculous. You're just trying to arrest somebody. Whether those feelings are justified or not, emotional reactions rarely improve communication. Calm conversations usually produce better outcomes than angry ones. One sentence surprises many legal professionals because they hear it so often. "I've got nothing to hide." People say it hoping to prove innocence. Ironically, it often encourages even more conversation. More conversation means more chances to misspeak. Being respectful doesn't require volunteering information that wasn't requested. Think about what panic does. It speeds up your thoughts. It speeds up your speech. It makes assumptions feel like facts. That's why people accidentally answer questions they don't fully understand. Instead, slow yourself down. Take a breath. Listen carefully. If you don't understand a question, politely ask for clarification. If you genuinely don't know the answer, don't guess. Saying "I don't know" is very different from inventing an explanation. If you need legal advice, respectfully request it, according to the laws and procedures where you are. Remember, the biggest mistake isn't always what police find inside the vehicle. Sometimes it's the words that leave your mouth during those first stressful minutes. Those words may be remembered long after the traffic stop is over. Once spoken, they can't be taken back. So if you ever find yourself in that situation, remember this. Stay calm. Stay respectful. Don't panic. Don't assume. Don't try to fill every silence. Think before you answer. Because the most damaging sentence is often the one spoken too quickly. And when police find something in your car, the safest words are the ones you know are true, not the ones fear convinces you to say.